Haters gonna hate.
That's evolved. What I love about the workshops are, we start out with one approach, and by the end, we've kind of developed it in a different way. So the original version was using YouTube, actually using videos to get young people to watch those videos, and then we would actually have physical versions of the comments that were made about those videos. So it could have been Drake's Hotline Bling, one video of a ridiculously cute cat being stroked. And then our good friend Nadir, who's a creator for change, showing his happy video, which clocked up millions of views, showing Muslims dancing from all different walks of life to Pharrell's happy song. Great. But when the young people looked at the comments, they realized that some of the comments were some of the darkest things you could possibly say to somebody. I will burn you in your bed. I would roast you alive, spit roast you alive. Racist and disgusting. And what they realized was there are some people who hide behind the internet and write negative things because they can't be held to account. And also that some of those things they write cross the line and transcend from being horrible to being bracketed as hate speech.
Yes.
So it gives us an opportunity to give them definitions of what hate speech is and what free speech is as well. So that's the kind of the foundation of that particular exercise. When we deliver it in schools, I think because the youth centres, young people come of their own volition. With schools, there's much stricter rules. So we couldn't show them some of the things and some of the comments. So we deliver it in a slightly different way as well. Yeah. So one of the things that we still reinforce is just free speech, understanding that you can, in this country, unlike other countries, say what you think about the government, say what you think about certain things, and not anticipate any repercussions. So that's one thing that comes across well. And then that identity of what hate speech is, knowing that it's criticizing or attacking someone because of their disability, physical or mental, their sexual preference, attacking them because of their race or ethnicity, these fundamental areas. And also letting them know that there are other things which being sexist wouldn't fall under hate speech, but still realizing that it's a part of society that we need to challenge as well. So
yeah, you're right, and it's looking at things that there is a perceived overlap and differentiating it. And there's a lot of discussions especially with recent news about people being deplatformed and that about is something really hate speech? Is it right that that's illegal and you should be punished for it? But the way I think about it is teaching people about hate speech as it is defined by the law, and we can have discussions about whether or not the law should be changed. Some people might fear and think, oh, this is just, propagating the notion of hate speech, which so-and-so disagrees with. But I think it has also the opposite effect. If you explain what hate speech is, it means the people that just say, oh, that's hate speech whenever they disagree with someone, you can also take it on, because I think we have to be strong on that front as well, because I see so many people online that just say that's hate speech to people they disagree with. And I think it's like whether you call someone racist or sexist, you actually do a disservice for people that are real victims of these things, because it's kind of like the boy that cried wolf, that if you just keep throwing around these labels in instances that isn't the case, it's actually detrimental to the cause that you're supposed to be representing, because you're actually devaluing, being a racist is a serious charge, being sexist is a serious charge, being responsible for hate speech is a serious thing. And so we need to be, go back to the term intellectually honest about these things, because it's not just about knowing these terms so they can be used to shut down speech. It's actually also the flip side. It's so we can open up speech to say, no, this isn't that. This is free speech, and we should discuss these issues.
Yeah, 100%. And also that transition we've gone through from people talking to publishing. I think Twitter was one of the first platforms that people realized if you type it and press send and it's published, you're now under the scrutiny of laws which would apply to journalists. So making young people aware that a bit of banter that you have with your mate might verge on hate speech, but it's only when you publish that and it reaches a wider audience that someone might actually go, hang on a minute, that's beyond the pale.
It's interesting you say that, because a friend of mine tweeted the other day, I remember the days of Twitter where I could literally tweet my friend and go, do you want to go to the pub tonight? And the fact that you can't do that on Twitter anymore, just because it is like Twitter used to be a very quiet social space when it first started. It was just a way of direct messaging people publicly.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, now it is a massive publishing platform in the sense of you are broadcasting yourself to the world, even if you are at messaging or replying to someone, which is just shows you how much it's grown.
Absolutely. And I think what we end with on the last session is saying, right, these are the parameters, these are the concerns, these are the fears, but here's your power. Your power is to be able to block people. If someone's on your platform, you're trying to grow your audience, Nadir says it really well, this is my house.
Right.
And if you come into my house with bad intentions, people in my house will be frightened of you, so I can block you.
Right.
So young people or people who are sensitive can continue being on his platform without seeing, racist or hate speech comments on there. We teach them advice about how to challenge.
Yes.
And not make it inflammatory, so it becomes a back and forth situation which drags young people into a horrible debate. There are ways of loving someone back who's hating you.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry you feel that way, but hey, I wish you the best. Our platform's all about championing positivity, and if you want to be part of that, great. If you don't, you have a right not to be part of it.
Yes.
Someone doesn't get that reaction they wanted. We talk about liking and disliking things and just the powers that they have, and also what YouTube actually do when you report.
Right.
It's just funny because we're there as consumers and we press flag, but we have no idea the chain of events that follows.
Right.
So letting them know how that works, and also explaining why YouTube doesn't have a policy of policing everything that's put online. Because when you look at it mathematically, if everything had to be checked before it was put online, the whole concept of YouTube wouldn't work. It's about a platform for self-publishing.
Right.
If I want to put a video of me, my latest song, and then it comes up 2 years later, it's not any good to me. So it's about teaching, as you said, individuals to have the power to manage and be stakeholders in society.
Yeah.
Which is where we're going.
Absolutely. And the word hate I've always had, I say issues with, because I think people sometimes throw it around so haphazardly. And the sort of the rule I've always had with comments on my videos, and as a middle-class white guy, I know the stuff I get is going to be a lot easier than what people of other backgrounds have to deal with. Although sometimes it can be hurtful, this might be a lot easier for me to say, but I still think there is some validity to it, which is if someone throws something really harsh in my direction, but it's written in a way where there is, not to say you agree with, and not to say it doesn't come from a place of bigotry, for example, but there is something of constructive narrative that you can latch onto and challenge, then I think that it should be challenged in at least a first attempt.
If you're brave enough, and a lot of people aren't brave enough to be able to do that,
and that's
or
why
have the language.
Right, and that's why I say this is a lot easier said than done in practice, and I haven't always been able to do it. But for me, it's like if people come forward and they just use labels or bigotry in clearly just to be an effect where there is no root, then I think that is a reason where you could block or something like that.
But we also live in a world where actually some people quite like having haters. I know that sometimes I speak to young people, they're like, oh, miss, I've got so many haters. And it's like, it's a cool thing that people hate you. They read quotes sometimes which say, if people don't hate or don't agree with what you're saying, then, you're not doing it right. So we've also got to remember there's another side of this word hate, because it's also quite sexy for people, if people don't quite like what they're doing or the way they're out in the world. So
it's drama to talk about as well.
And we live in a world of drama. Yeah. Everybody, it seems to give a spark to people if they're not gossiping or if there's no drama in their life. So, we've also got to remember that it also fuels a lot of people, and a lot of people in the public eye, they quite like it. They like having that, like you say, they're able to challenge and they have the language in order to be able to do that. So we live in a world where hate means so many things to people. Hate means love, because it means you're giving me attention.
Right. No, that's it. And that's always been the point of my piece is if people throw hate your way, it's because they want to let you know they exist. They want acknowledgement.
And so that's also what I always remember in a lot of the things that I do and the way that people interact with you. Love is kind of a sloppy word that people don't actually like to say, and to acknowledge, that's sometimes not as sexy and not as willingly accepted. So,
and it goes back to, because of in an age of mass information and
Right.
mass communication, you have to do more and more extreme things to sort of get that attention.
Yeah.
I know Ricky Gervais got famously in trouble many years ago because he was asked by an interview on a radio show, what is your advice to people that want to be famous? And he said, go out and kill a prostitute.
Oh, wow. I didn't.
And he got a lot of backlash because they were saying, oh, you're saying that's all right. He was like, no, I'm not condoning it at all. My point was, if you want attention, we live in a world where if you do the most extreme, horrible thing ever, that will get attention. And unfortunately, that leads to why some people, there's a lot of talks around school shootings, for example, and how a lot of them do it for that notoriety, you know, getting their voice out there. And again, goes back to the thing I said earlier, explanation is not the same as justification. These are horrible, abhorrent things, but we have created this world where, you know, we can look at Donald Trump and how he speaks in the media, and, you know, being inflammatory purposefully is because it gets a reaction. If someone puts a comment on my video that says something really hurtful to me and I leave it up there, it might get 5 comments responding, you know, going against it. That means I've now got 6 comments, not just one.
Yeah.
And so that gets me up the ratings and rankings of video. And so even that on a sort of a metric-based way of how platforms work, is it any reason why actually there's a currency to
That's what I'm talking about.
hate, and
Absolutely.
it's quite difficult.
There's a currency for it all. So
Yeah.
we need to also remember that.